Chapter 790. Now that I can control my power as needed, I thought things were going well. But now I see a new wall in front of me. Oh dear, the path of training never ends. Indeed, the abilities of Renavi and Sir Regina were too valuable to be overlooked. Kana seemed to think the same. I casually asked them, and both expressed a desire to remain in the cavalry if possible. Sir Regina's punishment, I hear, is likely to be greatly reduced. Until it's completely resolved, it seems wise to contract them in a general employment capacity with the cavalry, supporting their livelihood for stability. I'm thinking of tempting them to come to the capital headquarters while they are here. It's just a hunch, but I don't think they would refuse. For her, who now planned perfect tasks without needing to speak, Yudhi promised to devise a new training regimen that she could do alongside her work. Wow, really? Yudhi creating a special training regimen just for me. That's really nice. Kana let out a pained groan even as she expressed her joy. Their conversation continued in low tones until they entered the underground, where it ceased as if on cue. Hello, you two. You're going in, aren't you? Renavi, who they had just been discussing, sat in front of the only entrance to the underground greeting them. She was comfortably seated in a rocking chair, knitting with tri-colored yarn, a gift from cavalry members who felt indebted to her. The items were plain and unimpressive compared to the luxurious ones in the rooms where she had stayed in the illegal fighting ring. But Renavi was said to be genuinely delighted with them. You seem to have a hard time too. Aren't you tired? Not at all. I can maintain this even in my sleep. Renavi shook her head and smiled brightly in response to Kana's question. I want to help, so don't worry and go ahead, both of you. Either nodded silently, passing her and crossing the boundary. As he did, the air shifted, perceptible only to Awakeners, and his body suddenly felt heavy. He had entered Renavi's Awakener ability suppression area. The place, once a noble's mansion, had solemn yet elegant corridors and several closed doors. Inside, those captured in the recent battle were held separately. Several members staying underground for surveillance and investigation recognized them and nodded in greeting. Kana greeted them first, then led Yudhir to a room not far from the entrance. That was where Hosanna was. I will be waiting outside, Yudhir. After a while, I will send a signal and come in. Leaving Kana's reassuring words behind, Yudhir knocked on the door. A thin voice soon invited. Come in. ... You have arrived. Hosanna, sitting on the bed, stood up awkwardly to greet him. Despite knowing from Kana that Yudhir would visit that evening, his face was extremely rigid. His pale, strained complexion hinted at more than mere awkwardness and tension. There was a certain gravitas. After all, we haven't really seen each other alone since the early days of him waking up. Despite this, Hosanna had requested to meet with Yudhir. There surely had to be a reason for it. Yudhir quietly moved forward, pulling a chair closer to sit down. It was a position suitably distant yet directly facing the other. Traveling all the way here from the capital must have been quite taxing. How do you feel? Why are you suddenly speaking in that manner? Whether I like it or not, since the cavalry has received assistance from you, it seems only right to start with due courtesy. Seeing Yudhir attempt to speak with politeness, Hosanna looked startled, as if a rigorous interrogation had begun. Please don't do that. Just speak as you usually do. Well, if that makes you more comfortable. Only then did Hosanna heave a sigh, running a hand over his chest. So, how do you feel? I'm alright. Do you think your powers have recovered to any extent? I'm not sure. I feel like I'm continually recovering, but powers aren't something quantifiable. Yudhir, treating him as a novice awakener, struggling to gauge his own abilities, stretched out all 10 fingers. Alright, then if the farthest distance you could travel before was equivalent to 10 fingers, how far do you think you can travel now in comparison? Hosanna, who had been looking fearfully at Yudhir's hand, slowly lifted 7 fingers of his own. About this much? 70% of the original capacity. Whether he can recover further is uncertain, but with proper preparation, he might be able to traverse the continent. Either thought, nodding without revealing his thoughts. Understood. If you notice anything unusual, make sure to tell me. And I heard you wanted to speak with me. Ah, finally, the heart of the matter. Hosanna took a deep breath, closing his eyes momentarily before lifting his head. I presume you already know, but the reason I helped the cavalry and came here is I heard there was a serious issue between Nahan and the sage. Is that really true? Ydir, noticing that Hosanna no longer referred to the sage with the same ease, began to speak. What difference does it make whether I say it's true or someone else does? You will either believe it or not, regardless of who says it. Hosanna's fist, resting on his knee, trembled with tension, but his voice was clear, as if practiced for a long time. No, you saved me, so there is a difference. You remember that? I do. You did something to my body. It was painful, but I know that suddenly strength surged through me, and I became conscious. Hosanna surprisingly remembered the events surrounding him waking from a coma well. You could have just left me to die, but you didn't. There must have been a reason for saving me. ... I thought maybe you found my powers useful and that's why you saved me. And now, having regained my abilities, I have shown my worth to the cavalry. So I guess... Just when it seemed he was speaking well, his spirit began to wane once again upon making eye contact with Ydir. Observing this, Ydir leaned back a bit more comfortably in his chair. So, you think I valued your abilities high enough to want to keep you alive, and that makes me more trustworthy than others? In return for proving your usefulness, you want to trade for the truth. Is that what you mean? Hosanna nodded faintly. Okay, well, to answer your question as you wish, all the news you have heard is true. Ah, a sigh of regret unknowingly escaped from Hosanna's lips, tense with anxiety. Then, is Nahan really still alive? And what about the sage? To Ydir's observation, Hosanna wasn't asking out of ignorance. He genuinely sought assurance from Ydir. As far as we know, Nahan is presumed to have headed south, but his condition is likely not good. The last eyewitnesses who saw him reported severe injuries. The sage, after confronting Nahan in the capital, proceeded south with the aid of Duke Diarca and the Crown Prince. He should arrive soon. Hosanna bit his lips so hard, it seemed he might draw blood. Why has this happened? The sage was a devoted protector. Why would he turn against Nahan? Ydir hesitated to provide that answer, but if confirmation was needed... While Hosanna seemed considerably free from the sage's influence, it was uncertain if he could fully comprehend the following truth. Yet, Ydir looked into his eyes and spoke candidly. The sage and Nahan's goals were likely different from the beginning. Despite maintaining the status quo without a word, the moment they could grasp their true objectives, the truth emerged. ... A time like this was bound to come. That much I can assure you. In the past, the Star of Nagran had also faced a division and eventual downfall due to internal strife. Though Hosanna didn't fully grasp the underlying meaning of Ydir's words, he seemed to sense the peculiar certainty in them. Gasping for breath, he bowed his head, clutching his garment, and murmured in a barely audible voice, If I further aid the cavalry, can they save Nahan?